If you're seeing this, you've probably seen a lot of other videos on YouTube that pop up. Stuff like, I made a game in 2 weeks, or I made my own game in 1 week, or I created an FPS game in 3 days, or I made a obstacle course game in 1 day. I'm going to use that as an opportunity to make clickbait thumbnails. Yeah, I had fun with it, thank you for asking. On the topic of those videos though, I have seen a massive surge of them appearing all over the past few months. I keep getting one on my recommended pretty much daily, and it's not the sorts of videos that I'm into watching. Don't get me wrong, most of the people making those videos are really talented individuals, but I'm just tired of seeing them showing up. And if you know me in real life, which you don't lie, you'd know that if I don't like something, it's only natural that I try my own hand at it. So, where to begin? Well, I'm going to set myself a strict time limit of a whopping 3 hours, because I'm supposed to be working on other stuff right now. Yeah, I still got time. I'm going to be using Unreal Engine for this, and the first rule to making something is to have a clear goal of what you want to make. My goal was a game in 3 hours. Why did you choose to do this? Okay, think, something, okay, if we're gonna go big, why not make like a procedural dungeon? Yeah, that'll do, okay, we'll get working on that. So, there is a problem with that, because if I want to make something procedural, I'd have to make loads of assets, so it didn't look samey after, like, the first room. Wait, hold on, what if we don't have rooms? Hold on, so if we put it outside, yeah, but outside's perfect, because then we don't have to do procedural rooms. We can just do like a procedural landscape, like maybe make a driving game. I don't like driving games, so that's why it's perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so let's take a look at the landscape tool, and yep. Okay, sweet. So looks like there's no way to make it infinite. I already knew this. I'm just saying it for effect, so everyone's on the same page. Okay, so no way to make an infinite landscape. That's fine. We'll just generate a new landscape at runtime. That'll work. Yeah, and we'll create procedural height maps using noise profiles. So now it does mean that it looked like everyone's first ever terrain, since height maps build on top of each other, and there's no way to have like a unique looking landscape or location like caves or overhangs. But that's fine. I can live without. You can't edit landscapes at runtime without massive hitching or rewriting the engine. Okay, well, so there's a plugin that came out recently called the Voxel Plugin, and it's free. I've had my eyes on it for a while, but I've had no reason to use it until right now. Great thing about voxels is that they aren't 2D based, like they're not based on 2D height maps or anything. You can think of them more like 3D pictures, 2D, 3D. They're kind of hard to explain, but they're super cool and essential to how this turned out. So we're just going to plug this into the engine, and voila, flat terrain. It's not all. Voxels are cool, so they can be updated in real time. So I present to you flat terrain forever. Yeah, okay, so we have an infinite world. There's a few different settings available by default for voxel maps, such as having infinite caves, or oh my god, I can have planets. This changes everything. Or rather, that I have to change everything. See, with Unreal's default physics, gravity is always down. Problem with space and planets and all that, there is no up or down. Turns out there is actually another free plugin called Directional and Planet Gravity. So if I drop that in, tweak a few values, and we got gravity. I added a few extra features to this, such as how it detects when I'm within gravitational reach, as well as weakening the effect at further distances. Also added the ability to determine how much gravity a planet should have based on its mass, essentially just based on its scale really, but now we can jump between planets. That's fun. So, if we scale this up now, we'll be able to give our planet its own gravity. There we go. Alright, time to mess around on it, and... okay, another problem. See, Unreal has a setting by default that deletes the player character once they reach a certain distance from the world center, which is 0 by 0 by 0, X, Y, and Z. Once you pass a certain threshold, you start reaching a place where float values are so high that even a computer has trouble understanding them, or rather the engine that they're running on. It's why you might see like wobbling assets in some games if you manage to fall out of the world far enough. Most games use a 32-bit signed binary integer system for numeric values, like Unreal uses that. It's completely fine for most games, as most aren't cosmic in size, but if you need to go bigger, it's usually better to use a 64-bit system. In layman's terms, it means it can read bigger numbers more accurately. For example, the highest number that a 32-bit system can read is 2.1 billion, or more accurately, 2,147,483,647. Pretty big. But a 64-bit system can read numbers up to 9 quintillion, 223 quadrillion, 327 trillion, 36 billion, 854,775,807. So, bigger. Because Unreal uses a 32-bit system and I don't have time to change that, the planet is so big at the minute that it's already passing the values that it can read, which of course is a problem. We'll solve this in a moment, but before we do, I'm going to zoom out, and this is when I realized that the lighting that I was using to currently light the room was made with Unreal's new sky atmosphere effect. We gotta stick an atmosphere on this planet because that'd look awesome. First we'll get a skybox. I'm just gonna stick in a massive sphere in the map, give it a material, few sparkling stars and nebulas. Great, now for the atmosphere. We're gonna start with adding a new sphere around our current planet, after working out the size. Bigger? No, too big, smaller. Alright, now to make a material. What I did for this was I used a gradient as a lerp to change the color and intensity over like a smooth transition to sort of fake light scattering. The colors were all set as parameters, so other planets could use the same dynamic material but with different colors and everything. Atmospheres tend to have a subtle color change at the edge where they dissipate more. Usually this would be achieved through multiple complex systems like light scattering systems such as Rayleigh scattering or Meh scattering. Basic idea behind them is that they take the light that comes in and they sort of disperse it around, like simulating light bouncing in the atmosphere. I don't have time to learn any of that right now, so my method was to use a Fresnel. Like, it's not perfect, but what it does is it almost creates like a circular outline based on where the camera is looking. So at a distance, looks pretty good. I'd say it holds up, but if you get at sort of the wrong angle, it can create like a harsh effect. It's not perfect, but it'll do for now. Finally, I topped it off with a camera depth fade. This is pretty much exactly as it sounds. It fades the material based on how close the camera is to it. That means that when we go through the atmosphere, it looks smoother. There's no like sudden clip between the colors. Now we've got this down, I added a post-process asset into the world to sort of fix the auto exposure. It adjusts the camera so that space actually looked darker, and also tweaked a few colors of the atmosphere. I also gave the planet a little moon by just scaling it down with a new material. As I said earlier, the gravity of the planet is dependent on its mass, so we have moon gravity by default. I also fixed the problem with going outside the playable area and getting deleted. It ain't pretty, but it works. So what happens is that whenever the player now exceeds a value close to the limit of where it would be deleted, every asset in the world gets moved back the exact amount of units the player is from world center, so constantly moving from the edge back to the exact middle. Now we can explore the planet to our heart's content. In the background, you can see me demonstrating the code for this. Turns out my recording software doesn't capture blueprints. I'm glad to know that after finishing. We also do have a small issue. I ain't jumping to the moon. Solution? Spaceship. I went into my 3D modeling software. If you couldn't tell, I'm not a 3D modeler, especially not in a short time frame with no end vision, but there's loads of different modeling softwares that you could use to make your own 3D designs out there, like Blender, Maya, 3ds Max, Minecraft. Right, now that we're done with that disaster of a design, we can create a skeleton for it. Skeletons are the foundation of animations. They're sort of the invisible parts inside that move the parts that you can see. It's already taken me about 20 minutes just to make the models, so we're going to make a few quick animations, just like the landing gears going up and down and the back doors opening and closing, and that should do for this ship. We're going to put all this into the game, set up the animations to work based on values, and we are good to go. Now behold my masterpiece. Okay, that's the goal. What's mine? Mine was like that. Yes, working, hundreds of employees, 3 hours. Well, we'll work with what we got, and what I got is a planet and a ship. So, since the planets are made out of voxels and they can be edited in real time, it wasn't too hard to make it so that you could sort of terraform the locations with a sculpting tool. Now you can dig your own caves and create like your own Daredevil flight course, or just try and find your way to Australia. Sadly, all the times that I tried, I ended up getting stuck in the center of the planet's gravity. There's no planet core. I didn't have time. So, I have all this. But I need more. Let's make it so that the planets can be placed by the computer, fully procedural at any location, within a couple 100,000 kilometers of the center of the solar system. And then we'll determine the properties of the planet based on their distance from the sun, and then we'll have that affect the post-processing within the atmosphere to give the other planets like a really alien feel, and we'll have infinite possibilities from that, and then we'll have add like a hyperdrive so we can fly to all the different planets, and we'll have lava planets and acid planets and ice planets and asteroids in open space, and they can all have their own moons that orbit them, and they'll all orbit the sun, and then we'll conquer them all, and then we'll expand and we'll build space stations, then the quantum bridge that take us through wormholes to other solar systems, and then we'll go bigger, we'll aim for the galaxy, hell, we'll take over the whole damn universe! Sorry, I don't know what happened there. That's all I had time for in 3 hours. I was hoping to make a few more things that I had planned, like a dynamic foliage placement or a building system, and creating like a low poly astronaut character model, preferably a better character animation system too, with like inverse kinematics, but sadly I ran out of time. Hope you enjoyed what I came up with though. Till next time.